Mind Gap Podcast.
Everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin. And Doug, have you ever spotted anything weird in someone else's house?
Spotted something weird in someone else's house. Weird
That you can talk about?
No. Depressing? Yes.
Yes. Is it 10 cats?
Not 10 cats. Although that is also depressing. I mean, watching a cat just piss all over a credenza and then, having the owner of that cat be like, what do you mean they pissed? I'm like, literally just watch them walk over to the corner of that fucking really nice wooden bookshelf and just pissed all over it. And they were like, I don't believe it. Like, no, they did. Just saw it. It happened. So, but in terms of like, did I see like a dildo on a shelf or something like that? No, nothing like that. I stayed at someone's place that looked like it was just almost going to be on the show Hoarders. And they were like, wow, what are we doing here? And I'm like, this is spooky, really spooky. And you have to just pretend that this is normal, because you don't want to rock the boat.
Were you talking are you talking like, not just they had a ton of stuff. You're talking like it was Hoarders level. What are we doing?
It was just gross. It was just like a bunch of stuff everywhere, and you're like, oh, when you'd be like, yeah, I can't use my garage because I just have a whole bunch of shit in there. You're like, huh, okay. Yeah. So I'm a big proponent. I don't know about you now that you are a homeowner. I don't know if you see it's like in my neighborhood, I walk around, I see a lot of people use their garage for like storage. And for me, I'm like, absolutely not. The garage is where my car lives. The garage is where my car goes night-night. Because I don't want it, when it's cold and snowing, and I have a garage, Practical Doug would be furious if I had to go out and clean off my car because I'm too busy storing my shit in my garage. I understand there's lack of storage or someone wants to have their woodworking shop in the garage. I get it. That's totally fine, right? For me personally, because Jill has been like, hey, what if we put this stuff in the garage? I'm like, absolutely not. No. I want my car to remain cool in the summer, and I want it to remain warm and cleaned off from the winter elements in the winter.
I miss having a garage so much. For a brief moment, when we lived at that apartment in AITA, we had a garage, and it was glorious. It was a garage.
Do you not have one now?
No. We've got a driveway on the side of the house, and that's it. So we've got a place where we can fit two cars, but no garage. So we got to go out and we got to, That was one of the bummers when we were looking. I told there was those must-haves, and that was on my must-have list. But then this house came along, and there was so much else that outweighed that, and I was like, I guess I'm going to have to let something on this list go, and that was one of the things I had to let go. And
I think that's fair. I probably would have done the same thing. Like if I had to sacrifice something, it's probably a garage. But ever since I had covered parking and stuff, I'm like, I don't want to go back to it. Like I don't want to.
Dude, nor should you. Like I would not advise, because again, that for that year we were in AITA, because in Chicago when we had a car, we didn't have a car for a long time in Chicago, but on the eras where we had cars. Down at 11:30, we had parking, but you had to go down. You had to, tell the attendant, I'd like my car. They go get it. They bring it up. You couldn't do self-park. You had to go through the attendant. And it was just, if they were backed up, you could be waiting down there for 20, 25 minutes for your car. And it was, look, those guys were phenomenal. It was not their fault. It was just a broken system that building implemented.
Mandatory valet in an apartment. That seems really weird to me.
It was, But it was, because the thing is, it was part public parking, part resident parking.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, nope, still doesn't. Nope, still doesn't. Still doesn't. Self-parking,
So when we were up here at that apartment in AITA prior to moving into our house, we pull into the garage, and from the garage, the door, it wasn't even like a detached garage. It was the highest level of garage you could have, and it was just marvelous. And I so wanted to continue riding that luxurious high, but it was not meant to be. It just was not meant to be for me.
Have you seen anything weird in someone's house or someone's home?
I'm sure I have. I have not. I wasn't able to come up with something specific. What I will say is I am on a current kick of I dislike aquariums in houses.
Interesting. Tell me more about that.
And for lizards, is it called a terrarium? Is that what?
Something like that, yeah. Terrarium, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was like for succulents and plants or.
No, I think like, technically if you have like insects and spiders and stuff, that's called a terrarium, so.
Okay. Whatever the aquarium
you can't have
for
a terrarium
lizards
without terror,
Thank you, spiders. This podcast brought to you by the Brown McCoy.
Can I interrupt you real quick and just
please?
The game Lethal Company. I haven't encountered this yet, but there are giant spiders in that game, and apparently the video game developers recognize that a lot of people have arachnophobia, so they created a modification of the game so that if you are arachnophobic, you can turn this on, and instead of a spider, it just says this word in all red letters, spider. And the word spider will chase you through the level, which I find infinitely hilarious.
It's hilarious, and also I mad respect for those developers because thank you for that.
So all of a sudden you open the door, you just see spider. You're like, fuck, which is scary. I mean, you just see this word just chasing you down the corridor from the darkness.
Yeah. I don't like. I don't think I've ever seen. Thinking back now, I don't think I've ever seen an aquarium. Like when I drive by or walk by a house and I look in, and they've got, and I'm assuming usually it is a lizard because typically when I see it around here, it's the big glass box, and it's usually got like a UV, like a purplish UV light on it, and I'm like, I'm guessing that's not for fish, and it just looks. And I'm sorry if I'm pissing someone off here, but it looks tacky and out of place to me. I just don't. I've never seen it done where it aesthetically adds to the room, and it just. So for me, if I walk in and I see an aquarium, maybe if it's done well, but if I see like a lizard encasement, own your lizards. That's fine. I think it looks. I judge when I walk in, and I'm like, no, thank you to this. No, thank you to this.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I get it. If that makes sense.
So you it doesn't bother you, or you like it.
I think it doesn't bother me.
Or are you pro?
I think I'm neutral.
Okay.
I'm not like, oh boy, a terrarium. I'm just like,
We were gonna hang out, but now I want to sit here and look at this.
Now I want to stare at it.
That's all I'm doing all night.
But I think it probably depends on, again.
I will take my dinner in front of this, sir.
Yeah, fuck your TV, turn it off. I want to just eat in front of this,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, it depends on the overall decor, because I'll say this. A terrarium in the place that I was describing, that was borderline hoarder, that would be like, woof, there's a motif here. There's a sadness here that, man, I don't know. You look at the terrarium and whatever's supposed to be, and it's empty. You're like, so it's living out here somewhere. Okay.
Right.
It's around here somewhere hiding. Gotcha.
The light is still on in case they want to go home, but yeah.
They don't. They chewed their way out. Cool. Nice. Very cool. Like, they don't want to be here anymore. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So,
I'm going to be in your garage. Oh, I'm sorry. It lives in there now? I won't be in your garage.
I don't know. Maybe. It's created a system of tubes, and so it's evolved.
You see this pile of stuff, if you look at the bottom, something's burrowed through it. Right. So I don't know what it is.
A pneumatic tube system. So it can just sort of like almost instantly teleport to wherever it wants to go. You hear that in the night, you're like, fuck.
It's on the move.
He's on the move. He's quickly on the move. He created fast travel in his living environment.
It's a little Elon Musk newt, and it's the Boring Company. He's bored. Yeah, that was. There you go. There's a reference. Watch John Oliver, everybody.
Except it didn't work. It failed halfway through. It doesn't go anywhere.
It's just stuck in one of its own tubes now.
Yeah. It's like, it thinks it's cool, and it keeps telling itself it's cool, but no one believes it.
It's got a lot of money for a lizard, though.
Yeah, really? I mean, it's crazy. He's the king of all the lizards, and nobody likes him.
He's the king of lizards.
He is, right? He is. Cold-blooded. Hey, gang. You may be asking yourself, hey, it's Christmas time, and I want to give a gift to Justin and Doug. Well, I've got something that you could give us. You should give us your time and your ability to share. Share us with the world. That would mean the world to us. Because do you know why? Because Justin and I are going to be vulnerable with you for a minute.
Please.
We were approached by a sponsor. You may be asking yourself, whoa, really? The answer is yes. Why? We asked the same question. And initially I said, nah, we're not going to pursue this because this doesn't make sense at all. But out of curiosity, we were like, let's just see what maybe could come of this. And we sent them all of our data and they're like, sorry, nah, you're not good enough yet. And I was like, nope. Part of me was like relieved, but another part of me was like, man, that kind of sucks. If you're wondering, it was for dick pills. And this is no joke. We were approached by a company that does like male enhancement pills. And they're like, and they followed up after we didn't respond. And they're like, hey.
3 times.
3 times. They were like.
3 times. They sent me the initial one. Mm-hmm. I sent it to Doug and I was like, you see this? And he's like, yeah, maybe not. Yeah. And then the guy followed up again. And then I was like, he's really wanting to talk to us.
Yeah. And my initial response was like, no way are we doing ads for dick pills. Like, listen, does it fit our theme? Kinda. But I'm like,
could we have fun with the copy? Absolutely.
100%. But part of me, Practice Doug's like, we have no sponsors. Therefore, any sponsor is a good sponsor. But then, I don't know, ethical Doug, or maybe just like, scruples Doug
modest Doug
goes, really? Is this what we want to do? Does this fit with like our plan of, whatever? I don't know. But the point of this story is, gang, if we get some more views, if we get some more like, ground here, who knows? Maybe we will get the dick pill guy back, and that could lead to some other things. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not disappointed that we're not going to be doing ads for dick pills, but at the same time, we're not good enough for dick pill guy, And I feel like as a community, we could come together and we could get these numbers to a point where maybe, I don't know, what's the next step above dick pills? I mean, I don't know.
Energy drinks.
Probably like gambling.
It's Panera's charged lemonade.
Probably online slots or some shit, these are just stepping stones to other things.
Stamps.com.
Stamps. Hey, dude, if we get stamps.com, we're doing okay. You know what I mean?
Bonobos.
So, it's just shameless self-plug. If you guys could do us a solid, if you're watching us on youtube.com/MindGapPodcast, do us a favor, hit the like button. It costs you nothing. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and really do us a solid. If we do something that you truly enjoy, please share it, whether it's a clip, whether it's an episode, share it out into your circles. We would really love to generate that amount of watch time, viewership, and everything. And if you're listening to it, thank you. If you're watching and listening, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate you. And if you're listening to it, same thing. Rate it, review it, share it out. Because honestly, although my initial thoughts were like, man, really, dick pills? I was also kind of like, hey, someone actually found us and was like, hey, we're not a scam. We don't think so. But we would love to possibly advertise with you. And we don't have the clout yet. So help us out. It's Christmas time. Let's carry this into the new year. Let's help us out. Let's bump up this listenership, this viewership a little bit. What do you say?
MindGap 2024 # next steps.
# dick pills.
# dick pills.
Let's reach that goal of talking about dick pills and getting paid for it.
Right? Instead of what we usually do, just do it for free.
That's right. Use your dick. How about that? Oh, man. Speaking of Christmas, boy, do I have a story for you. So I almost ruined Santa for Natalie.
I have been so excited to hear this story. I've been so excited to hear. I told Doug when he brought this up in our pre-production meeting, I told you, don't say another word. I want to live this in real time. I want this story. I want to experience this along with our audience.
So the other day, Natalie, I was just like, I got done working out or whatever, and I was just, having my post-workout snack, which was delicious. And Natalie comes up and was like, it is 3-berry blend, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries with oats, protein powder, yogurt, and honey.
Nice.
Yum, 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 yum. I look forward to it after I work out. It's my little treat. So I'm eating that, and Natalie comes over and goes, hey, Dad, do you want to play charades? And I was like, all right, I don't think you've ever asked me to play this. Sure, whatever. She goes, and she's an animal. She's just like, she goes, sometimes I have to explain the rules. She goes, I'm an animal that lives in the ocean. And she starts doing just like, she starts going, and I go, you're a fish. She goes, no, I live here. I look like this. I go, no. Like, just because I don't get it doesn't mean you have to like give me more clues. Like, you have to act it out. Right. And she was just like, just doing this. If you're listening, she's just like making gestures with her hands. And I'm just like, guessing. And whatever. So she's like, all right, your turn. So then I'm an animal and I'm like a gorilla, whatever, doing all these things, flamingo, doing all these really easy things. And then I'm like, all right, I'm a superhero. I'm like pretending to be Iron Man. And she's like, oh, she finally gets, she goes, okay, be an animal. I go, no, you don't get to tell me what I get to be. No. So I'm like doing all sorts of, different superheroes. And she's sticking with the animals. And then I'm giving her clues, right? I'm like, I'm a superhero. I'm an animal. And then I think, oh, you know what would be great? Is if I act out Santa Claus. And I'm about to give her a clue. And I'm about to say, I'm a fictitious person. I'm about to say, I am not real. I am imaginary. I am made up. And I go, I am, and I just like, everything slows down.
Like bullet time.
And my brain goes, no, don't. And I go, what am I? I was like, Jesus Christ, I almost just let this slip. Like, not even thinking. And I just reeled it back in, and I was like, I'm a magical person. And I was just like,
what would you have done? Would you have tried to have saved that? Or would you have just gone, all right, this is how it happened. This is her story.
I think I could have navigated it easily with her at this age.
Okay.
Because I would have been like, it's a type of Santa. There's a multiverse of Santas. There's
a mall Santa.
There's a different types of them. And this one isn't real. Like she's pretty easy to like, be a like, unicorn, look at this, an open door. Oh, what's in there? Slam the door, like,
Yeah.
Careful if you hear the pneumatic tubes going, like it's on the move.
That means it's hungry.
And I just was like, I whispered that to Jill. I go, I almost said I was a fictitious person. She goes, God damn it. I'm like, I know, I just stopped myself.
That would have been something.
If it would have landed though, and Natalie would have been like, hey, when did you stop believing in Santa Claus? Oh, when my dad was playing charades with me when I was 7.
Right. Started off as a real fun game. I was doing an animal. What do you think this is? And then someone guesses it. They're like, Dad couldn't get that. Yeah. And then he just ruined it. He just said Santa wasn't real. Can I ask you a legitimate question? Doesn't she watch these later on YouTube?
No, she doesn't watch these.
She doesn't watch these, just the video game streams?
Just the video game streams. So,
okay.
Yeah, she doesn't watch these. She'll see the thumbnails, but she doesn't click on them because she knows that they're not interesting. So not yet anyway. Good. Maybe when she's older, she might find them somewhat intriguing. Right. But
also, for new listeners, we are very interesting. That's a 7-year-old's opinion of us.
7-year-old is not going to want to sit down and be like, yay. I showed her the trailer.
You should subscribe, though.
You should. Thank you. Get us those dick pills. I was showing her some trailers the other day, and I showed her the trailer for Dune Part 2, and she's like, whoa, that looks cool. I'm like, do you want to watch Dune Part 1? And she's like, because I showed her the trailer for Dune 1. She goes, I think the second one looks cooler. I'm like, it does, but you can't see the second one without seeing the first one.
Right.
So I sat her down to watch the first Dune. She made it about a third of the way through, and she's like, I'm good. Like, I'm like, yeah. I was like, I think you
did that thing where she slid off the couch again and then like went to play with some toys.
I was like trying to keep her engaged. I'm like, so this is who this is. This is what they're doing, and yada yada yada. I was like, I'm forcing this one. She's not going to find this interesting. There's certain parts I think should be cool when the sandworms come out and stuff like that. But she's like, nah, this isn't. You know, she's not into it. So it's the same thing with this. Like she would turn this on and be like, nah, I'm not into it. It's just dad talking. You know,
I have this for when I'm older. I've got these records.
Yeah, for better or worse. I can't wait. I'm be really curious because the thing is, like, I've forgotten most of the stuff that I've said on here. So if she starts at the very
100%.
beginning and just goes, "Wow,
well,
wow, Dad."
When Haig was catching up on our episodes, there's only a few people, by the by, who have consumed the entire Mind Gap catalog. So if you're new and you're listening, not only should you subscribe, but head on back and join the elite. Join the Mind Gap elite and listen to
you
our
want to be
entire
elite.
catalog.
The first, I'd say 200 or so are audio only. So, you know.
So get in there. Make it work. And then after that, it's real shitty video.
Yeah, real shitty video.
And then it gets better.
And then once the pandemic comes around, it slowly, bit by bit, evolves to where we are right now.
And then we figured it out.
Kinda.
Yeah, it wasn't until just like within this year we figured out this new way of recording that actually gives high def everything. Anyway, when Haig was catching up, he would always be like, "Hey, so I just listened to we were on like episode, I don't know, let's call it 300." And Haig was like, "I just listened to episode, 197, and I got a couple of things your opinion on this." And I'm like, "Haig, I have no idea what I said."
Refresh my memory. What did we say? What's the transcript say?
And he's like, "You can't remember what you fucking had for breakfast." I'm like, "Hey, we're in the 300s. We've done 300 episodes. I cannot remember everything that I've said for 300 episodes over the course of 6 years.
Each episode is a week apart. So you do the math on how many weeks it's been since we had that conversation. So
I can't, man.
Tell me what I said.
Yeah. Tell me what I said.
And I'll either defend it or agree with you and be like, "You're right. I was wrong."
Right.
Because times change,
I may have changed my mind by this point, Hank. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so funny.
Do you remember? I think we've talked about this before, but I don't remember. Do you remember when it was ruined for you? The whole Santa, the whole Santa fraud.
I remember like being told, and I wasn't surprised. I think like deep down I knew.
Okay.
And I chose to ignore the obvious.
You were forcing yourself to believe?
I think what it was is my brother goes, "It's not real, right?" And I was like, I know. It's not real. It's like, obviously it's not. In that moment, I was like, I didn't.
Then Doug turned around and shed a single tear and went.
Doug turned to the camera and goes, "I didn't know." Right. I was like, "Yeah, obviously." And I was like, "Fuck." And I started doing the math.
What do you think I am? A baby?
I started thinking, because I remember one Christmas, my brother and I went like all out for like leaving gifts for Santa. Like we both like made these construction paper elves and we laid them out and we like put like extra like goodies out for them and stuff. And my parents were like, "God damn, they're really going all out for this." And the next morning we got like, this is classic, my parents. We saw like a note that's like, "Hey, thanks." And then there was these suckers that were left there. They were the exact same suckers we would get from the doctor that we had just gotten, and they'd put in a drawer somewhere. And my parents were like, "Here you go. I was like, "Wow, we got suckers." And I was like, "This is just like the ones we get from the doctor's office." And my brother and I were sitting there, like sitting on the couch, just sucking on the suckers, looking and be like, "Do you think you could see his footprints in the carpet? Do you think those are his footprints?" And we're just like, "Wow, this was so cool. He gave us suckers." I think I like immediately went back to that moment. I'm like, that makes sense because
everything's starting to line up now.
Santa wouldn't have just given us the Dr. suckers. Right. It's like
Santa and Dr. Johnson shop at the same Quick Mart. Interesting.
Like, that's interesting. So I think in that moment, I like when he said that, I was like, "Yeah, that's probably right." And I kind of, it wasn't like a devastating moment, but I was old enough where it wasn't too bad. How about you?
I truly cannot remember when. I remember when I was super young. Like leaving it out. I would get up in the morning and I would look for the crumbs because my mom would always do the partially eaten cookie and leave the crumbs and the carrots for. Loved those traditions. Then as I got older, I don't remember when it happened, but then I went from believing to really being excited to watch my cousins get into it. Because at that time, I was old enough to where technology had caught up and they had the Nord? The tracker. So they NORAD. The NORAD, that's what it is. The NORAD tracker.
The VPN tracker?
I was like, I know that's
this
a thing.
This episode brought to you by NordVPN.
Santa's preferred VPN.
That's right.
The Vixen Prancer Network. The tradition became that we would do dinner, this, that, and the other thing, and then we would open one gift on Christmas Eve, cookies, get in our pajamas, and then they would log on and they would obsessively track, where is he now? Oh, he's over, Southeast Asia. Oh my God. And they got so excited about it. And that became, I distinctly remember morphing into that phase of my childhood. And that was really cool. But I don't remember the minute that it was broken for me. I wonder, I should ask my mom to see if she remembers me coming home from school crying, or maybe there's a memory that I'm just repressing.
She probably has a jar of your tears that she saved from the day that you were crying.
Without a doubt.
Right next to your chickenpox scabs.
She keeps those separate because if the scabs get wet, they dissolve.
Exactly. And plus, if you keep the lid closed, it can't evaporate. So,
Exactly, yeah. So you want to make sure. Those are both in hermetically sealed jars.
Yeah. Two thoughts on that. One, Creative Doug just flipped the switch. And I was just thinking, when you mentioned the reindeer, one of my things that I love so much about storytelling is when someone has an idea of taking a classic story and flipping it and telling it in a new way. I just watched the movie The Green Knight, which is a retelling of The Green Knight. It's a classic poem and things like that.
Dev
and it was just
Patel?
What's up?
Was it with Dev Patel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, an A24 film and everything like that. And I just, the comic series Fable, which is...
Don't know if I know that one.
I've talked about it before. It's so good. You get basically all these fable characters and creatures come into the real world because bad things are happening in their world and they're escaping. They're essentially refugees and they live in a very small part of New York and they are surrounded by a barrier. So regular people can't find them. And you get to see these interesting personifications of these characters. Like the big bad wolf is like a detective.
It's very similar to ABC had a drama
Once Upon
series.
a Time.
Yeah.
And so you get to see all these different aspects of these characters and the really creature like Three Little Pigs and stuff like that. They live up in this place called The Farm. Okay. So because they can't really integrate into society because they look different. So there's actually kind of a social thing about it where people are like, we get to set us up in the farm and just forget about us and things like that. So all the creatures from the Jungle Book and whatever, they live up there. And then you've got Prince Charming, who's kind of a deadbeat asshole, whose ability is that he can just charm women. And he basically kind of lives on their couches and shit like that. And lives off of that sort of stuff. And then you just Snow White's kind of assistant mayor and of the town, and it's just really interesting ways. Cinderella's a fucking spy, and she's badass. She's a 007 agent. It's incredible. There's so many of these really cool ways of taking these characters and being here's all these fun little rhyming stories, and you get to see all these things about it. Pinocchio is this horny little kid because he's an adult, but he's still in a kid's body, but he's fucking perv, and he's just I just want to fuck, but I don't have any balls. My balls haven't dropped. Why did he make me like this? Just
I'm a real boy, damn it.
God damn it. So it's interesting. So I think of that because at one point Santa is in that story, and he's a super magical creature, and he's talking to I think a child or whatever, and they're like, how does this work? And he's like, I'm everywhere all at the same time. He's I'm in every house right now. And it cuts to a scene of him Like he's kind of like Dr. Manhattan.
Almost like he can like astral project or something.
He just exists everywhere at the same time. He's in every house. That's how he does it. Like, how does he do it all in one night? Well, he's in every single house all at the same time.
Fascinating.
Which was really interesting. And then I took that, like, this is how I'm giving you this context because then my brain goes, you mentioned the reindeer. I go, what if Santa was like an evil character? And
I'm in.
All of these reindeer are actually like creatures that he's enslaved. And Santa isn't necessarily like this benign being, but he's actually a malevolent force that he's, somehow like some demon lord that has like connected all these creatures. They were once humans that it's almost like Sauron and that he's tricked into whatever, or it's enslaved him into contracts. And so now he rides this. There's like, oh, it's this sleigh. It's actually like this sleigh that's wreathed in fire that shoots across the sky, and it's a bad omen, and you actually don't want to see Santa. I'm working on it. I'm workshopping it. All right.
You're describing the Krampus, right?
Something like that, but
this is the being that the Krampus fears.
Right.
Yes.
They're like, the Krampus is like, they are always afraid of me, but they don't know who the real enemy is because of propaganda. Right. Because they know if they speak out of line, they have to deal with him. And you'll be forced to work in his workshop. Right.
Do you have any idea how many limbs he has in his workshop?
Like,
it's all old school wood shit, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah.
You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. Yeah, that's
he'll drive splinters up under your fingernails. It hurts, man. He gets you to talk.
I was like, it'd be fun to tell a story about that. And if that's
a cool idea.
There's a Love, Death, and Robots series. I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix. It's a bunch of short films.
Okay.
I think there's a couple seasons of them right now. And one of the episodes, I think the first season has my favorite Christmas story of all time. And I don't want to ruin it, but I'm going to recommend it to you specifically, Justin. It's 6 minutes. So, or anyone who's interested it's Love, Death, and Robots. It's not on Netflix, the first season. I can't remember. I'll find the name of it and tell you what it is. But it is the most wonderful Christmas episode I've ever seen. It absolutely tickled me to death when I watched it. I was like, this is incredible. And you should all watch it. And
there's 3 robots, The Witness, Suits, Sucker of Souls, When the Yogurt Took Over, Beyond the Aquila Rift.
I think it's All Through the House. It actually might be season 2.
Helping Hand Fish. Okay.
So season
That's
2,
why
episode
I couldn't
6.
find it. All right.
Yeah, I thought it was season 1. It's actually season 2.
All right, we're all going to stop, and you're going to watch and listen to me watch this.
Come back in 6 minutes. Honestly, I really recommend that show in general. Like, that's really, really cool. There's some like super dark shit in there, but there's also some just very interesting and also very funny things. So it's very, very interesting.
I feel like I remember when this came. I remember the name. I never actually watched it because I don't watch a ton of animation. Would you consider this anime?
No, it's definitely an animated series. Is it all animated? I don't know if it's all animated, but I think most of it is.
Interesting.
It's very good stuff. Some of them are like really fucking creepy, and I loved it. I was like, "This
wow, okay, this is some Uncanny Valley shit, though."
Maybe depends on which one you're watching.
These characters look kind of lifelike, but not enough. Oh,
well, some of it just looks like a computer game. You know what I mean? Computer game cutscenes. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a shot, Doug. I'll watch it.
At the very least, just watch that one. That particular episode. Watch it. And then I'd love to get your immediate reaction and be like, ask yourself this question before you watch it. I wonder why Doug likes this so much. And then when it's done, let me know what you think about that. About me liking that so much.
Is it a seething takedown of Christmas?
I'll have to find out.
All right.
Nothing would make me happier than to spoil it for you, but I think you need to watch it. And because it's only 6 minutes, I was like, it's not too much of an ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
That's my biggest thing in D&D right now. And to my Curse of Strahd campaign is I just want to tell the players every fucking thing that's going on.
Yeah.
And I can't. And I've been
You've
really
got some good shit coming up that I can see why you would want to tell them.
Oh, I've been a good boy where I'm just like, I want to tell you. But it's even better when they figure it out. And they're like, wait a second. Or when they don't
figure it out and it just happens to them.
Yeah. Boy, do I have plans. I have plans.
There's some shit a-coming.
I had plans. I also came up with an idea for an actual one-shot that I want to invite you to play.
Done.
Cool.
I'm there. Done.
Awesome. Haven't figured it all out yet, but it's not going to be like House of Arianfold where I'm like, it's a one-shot, and it was like 15 sessions and we didn't finish it. So,
which is still one of my saddest unaccomplishments.
It was a sad thing for me because I'm like, I sold this the wrong way. It was a limited series, is what it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't a one shot. One shot is something you can do in 1 or 2 sessions. I was like 5 sessions in. I'm like, we're not even at the fucking mansion yet, where all this shit takes place. I was like, we gotta build all this story, which I think mattered, but what are you gonna do? So, but I have an idea for something that I need to flesh out that I think could be really fun. That I think could be it would be full of mystery and intrigue. Maybe a little bit of horror, who knows? But I gotta work out the mechanics on it because I'm like, I don't know exactly how to pull this off, and I've got a rough idea for a story for it that I think could be good and compelling, and then just kind of turning you all loose and seeing what happens. So
I'm into it. Nothing would make me happier than if you attempted another one shot and it turned into like another 15-week thing.
I don't want to do that.
You just keep failing at one shots. That would be my. I would love that to be a running thing.
Doug, we want you to make a short film. I'm like, great. Here's a 3-hour cut of my short film. They're like, I don't think you understand what short film means. Right. You said, well, it's a film.
We'd like you to make a short film. Start with the script. Okay. Doug turns in a 400-page draft.
We're like, does this work? They're like, no. Like, what is this like a series of short films? You're like, no, this is the short film.
No. I mean, it's short if you consider this could be 6 hours.
Right? I mean, obviously we'll cut a page or two, but I mean, for the most part, it's good to go, Don't
worry. A lot of this is action. It'll play quicker.
Right. This is mostly stage directions. It's cool. It's all good. It's all good. So I want to get to something that's been in my mind. Hopefully we can come back to the second point here.
Sure.
I really want to get to the third one because this has been
eating at you.
It's been eating at me.
Yeah. All right.
We kind
Let's
of
rock and roll.
We kind of got into this a little bit around Thanksgiving, but this week in particular, I had this sort of like watershed moment. A real aha epiphany. A big woohoo at your woohoo sort of moment where I was listening to a podcast and the host was just like, hopefully you're, taking a break from your family and you're not killing each other and yada, yada, yada. And I was hearing stories, anecdotes from other people close to me about how much they're dreading the holidays, about how much they don't want to be around their family. And it just dawned on me. I was like, many people, I don't want to say we all, I don't want to be a Sith. I don't want to speak in absolutes here, but many people don't get along with their families at all. And it's like a known factor, right? There's literally articles that's like how to talk to your annoying family members at the dinner table. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it got me thinking, it's like we all make jokes about this. We write news articles about this. We dread the idea of talking to that aunt, that uncle, maybe even our parents or cousins or whatever who are awful and we don't get along with them. Why do we go and hang out with our family for the holidays? Why do we force ourselves to be with them if we don't want to be there? And the common answer to this rhetorical question is, well, it's family. It's tradition. You got to be there. Love them or hate them, they're your family. And I want to normalize being like, nah, I'm doing the holidays on my own this year. I'm doing my own thing. And it's not necessarily an indictment against your family. It could be if you want it to be, but it could just be like, ask yourself this question. If these weren't your family, if you didn't come out of this person's vagina, would you be friends with them? Would you want to hang out with them? And if the answer is no, really ask yourself the question is, why am I here for the holidays?
Right. Out of some weird social moral obligation, like it doesn't make any sense. That's a great point of like, if you were not bound by blood, would you still be around these people by choice?
Right. Because the idea of like
you have a choice.
I've talked so much. Go ahead.
No, you have. It's because guess what? You have a choice. It is a choice. You're choosing. You think that you're bound to these people, that you have to be there. It's a choice. You are making the decision, and you can choose to not make that decision.
It's so funny because I was going through Reddit's "Am I the Asshole?" For our Ask Practical Doug, and I saw a lot of things about Christmas, and
am I like feeling guilty? Am I the asshole? Because
there's just like Christmas things
now?
Of like this thing happened at Christmas, and like there was so much control over the holiday. Like we all go to my grandma's place every year because this is what she wants, or my mom does this every year, and I said this, and they're like, you can't go into her house and tell her what to do, sort of thing. And I'm like, man, these are weird rules and laws that we've sort of put up there that I just don't agree with in general. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't have a ton of like family traditions, or, the relationships that I have with my family are strained, to put it lightly. And so the idea of being like, in my current situation, like, I got to go see him for Christmas, ain't fucking happening. Not that they'd invite me in anyway, Yeah,
I was going to say after where we left things, I don't even know if that's an option.
Probably not. Probably not. But that's the kind of thing where when I look back on all those holidays that I went to, I did it because I guess that's what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Shrug.
You felt, is it because that's what you're supposed to do? Or did you feel guilted into doing it? Did you feel manipulated, or was there some deep rooted, like something that you're like, I kind of have to do this?
I was in a situation where like, my parents were very much like, hey, when you have a family of your own or whatever, don't feel like you have to come back here. Like,
okay,
go do your own thing. My parents were very much like, we're going to raise this creature to be self-sufficient, and then after that, our job is done. That's kind of how I view their parenting style of like, all right, you're self-sustaining now. Like, what do you want from us? Kind of situation. Right. So the idea of us being peers, I don't think was ever in the plan. No sort of like buddies or friends was ever in the equation for the life cycle of this relationship. So I chose to go because I think I felt like I wanted to, partly because I just didn't see them that often. So I was like, it would be good to see them, because I hadn't seen them in so while, I could take that dose of them, that amount of time with them, without like wanting to end my life or end their life. So, but as I look back on that now, I was like, there was some sense of like, this is what you're supposed to do. I think at the time, like, I did want to be there. Like, I did want to see them. Like, I didn't hate them. I found them incredibly annoying, especially as I got older. But, it was kind of nice to see them and whatever. And I look back on that now, like, the relationship's pretty shallow. There wasn't a whole lot there. But, the idea of, well, we got to go do this because we're family. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, but I mean, the idea of a Friendsgiving, right? That seems like a relatively new thing to me.
Yeah, I think it's been done. I just think it got a real good PR person working for it. Like, well, you know what I mean? I think it's been around. It's just something that hasn't been talked about as much as it has since social media.
As I say, social media gave it a boost where people are like, oh shit, yeah, I guess, people who couldn't go home for the holidays or whatever, it's just like, hey, everybody come together for Friendsgiving. I love that. Yeah. Infinitely more.
One could argue that probably normalized it to a point where people felt better about doing it. They shed some of the guilt about having to go to family. Well, everyone else is doing it, so I guess It isn't a problem if I do this too. It's becoming more normal. It gave them a talking point.
Much rather spend Christmas with you than my family.
and we would have you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like Christmas always seems like it's this sacred thing that only your family can be at. And I was like, nah. Like, I'd rather celebrate Christmas with the people that I consider my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Because it makes way more sense because you're choosing to be around the people that you want to be around for that holiday. And I think that's really special because part of the reason why I'm such a dick about Christmas is because there's a lot of things that are forced upon you. Fucking the music is forced upon you. The idea, the guilt and the idea of like you have to buy someone a gift. Sure. And it's incredibly stressful to buy gifts for people. Even people that I know extremely well. I have a really hard time buying gifts. I
still feel Beth and I have been married for 13 years, together for 15, and I still, every Christmas, am worried, have I done enough? Is she going to feel slighted? Or like, I don't want her to feel like, I don't want her to ever think that I didn't put thought into this or that I didn't get, like, and then I rack myself with this, and I'm like, it doesn't, like, you finally come to a point where you're like, this is absurd that you're making yourself sick over this, worrying about this. This is not what this is meant to be about, you know?
Yeah. Jill and I have had a lot of conversations recently, and especially this year. I just told her, I go, look, I'm a pain in the ass to buy for. So I go, I like the little shit. Give me the little things. Like, I don't need big things at all. Like, I'm actually I like to think I'm actually pretty easy. Buy me some fucking kitchen shit. You know what I mean? Buy me stuff to cook with. Buy me little tchotchke things that I can eat. Like, I don't like I'm thrilled with whatever I get. I don't give a shit. And then like with Jill, I told her, I go, listen, I'm having a really hard time trying to find stuff for you because there's only so much like book stuff I can get you.
Sure. Right.
For a couple of years there, I'm like, oh, what's a cool book thing? I'm like, well, I've gotten most of them for you now.
You've exhausted that. Yeah.
And it's like a gift card to the bookstore. Like whatever.
Right.
So I've gotten her like a couple of little things, like maybe some creature comforts. And I got her something nice. I don't know. It's kind of a big deal, but it's also like she could have done that on her own kind of thing,
Sure.
But it's the idea. I hope that counts. That I'm like, hey, I want to give this to you.
That's how I've always thought about that. Is it's the idea, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what it costs. Like if you've put thought behind it, and you're like, this is something that he would like. Like this is something that. Here's the reason I got this for you. You and I had a conversation one time about X, Y, and Z, and I remember you really geeked out about this thing, and so I saw this thing that's related. That for me, I'm like, man, you really fucking see me. That's cool. You know. And it doesn't matter what it is.
Like, at this point in our lives, too, it's like we can just go buy most of the things that we want. You know what I mean? Like when you're a kid, you don't have that income, No. Like it's so cool. Like someone bought this for you, but as an adult, like buying gifts for another adult is kind of weird sometimes when you're like, I don't know, man. Like I could get you something, but, I also like, I don't know. I struggle with this is the day you're supposed to show that you love someone by giving them a gift.
Well, it's the same concept with Valentine's Day, right?
Exactly.
Right.
I'd rather, out of the blue, be like, I got something for you.
Yeah.
I find that to be way more special and way more, like, pertinent than, like,
a true surprise.
This is the day that we do this. And I'm like, fuck, because it's like, for me, it's like a countdown. It's like this doomsday clock of, like, fuck.
That's exactly it, too, yeah.
And I don't have to buy for that many people. Like, I buy for Jill and Natalie. Natalie's super easy to buy shit for. Like, it's
sure.
So easy. It's so funny.
The thing is, as a kid, your interests are so many. Everything is like the best thing ever. We bought
so many gifts for her, and then Jill goes, I think we need to get her some more. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? She goes, Doug, we didn't get her any toys.
Wait, what did you get her?
We got her like books. I got her a fucking keyboard. I got her a board game.
Yeah.
We got her like all these cool things, but she's like, we didn't get her any fucking toys. She what do we got? I was just like, and Practical Doug's like, we do not, because I also was like, let's shave some of this off and save it for her birthday because her birthday's in February.
Yeah,
and then she's like, we don't have any toys. I'm like, Practical Doug goes, you know what? That makes sense. That's cheap and easy. Go fucking, let's get her some stuff. Like, that'll be a really easy fix. We'll get her some toys.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we were thinking like, look at all these cool things, but she's not, doesn't have anything to play with. Like,
right.
It's like, but it's an easy fix. We can do that. But I say all that because like, that's a part of this holiday that I think sucks too, is just, you get together and it's like, you got to give each other gifts. There's an expectation that we have to be together, that all this stuff that's forced upon you, decorations and all these things. And I don't know. I just feel like, and this is a me thing.
Yeah.
I think that's why this holiday is so stressful and annoying, because there's just all these things that are expected to come out and are forced upon you. And I'm like, I reject this. I don't want to do it this way.
Right.
I don't like this. I don't feel compelled to do this because we're supposed to. I've always struggled with that. I always need to understand a why before I can fully get on board. And Christmas does not answer that why for me most of the time. And again, it kind of goes with Thanksgiving too. In the same boat of that, is like, well, we have to get together. It's like, do we?
Right.
Because I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at your family and being like, wow, we're really different from one another.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's okay, because you've met people in your life, friends, right? Super close. And then over time, you split. And you kind of go down different paths, get different interests, and then you talk less and less. You just drift apart. I consider that to be a natural ebb and flow of life. Mm-hmm. People come into your life, people go out of your life. You do the same. You're in, you're out. That's fine. The idea that like this person,
I can count on one hand the number of people who have stuck for a long time.
Yeah.
Like who have stuck in a meaningful way for a long time. Because there are still people who I will touch base with every once in a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're still on friendly terms, But like there are very few people who have been around for longer than a decade that still have a very meaningful relationship to me. It's like you, Milos, Bob, Drew, and there's probably one or two more.
Starts falling off after that,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a handful as well, and it's and I look at that as,
Did I say Bob? Because if I didn't say him,
you didn't say Bob.
All right, good. I was going to say I'll hear about it. I'll hear about that tomorrow.
No, she didn't say Beth though. I mean, that's kind of an uh-oh.
Here's the thing.
Here's
the thing about that.
Clip
that, and I'm going to stand by it.
Here's the thing.
People I don't live with.
I said what I said.
Yeah. Doug, I don't feel the need to include her in that because I've made the decision to see her daily.
On the daily
that
basis.
That speaks for itself.
Right? Yeah, but I think it's normal to look at your relationship with your family and be like, we don't have much in common anymore. And that's okay.
Especially lately. It seems that your diverged interests and people have less in common, I think, with certain family members now, more so than they ever have. Or at least it's more out in the open than it has been.
Yeah. And listen, there's families out there that are super fucking tight and they're connected. And to that I say, awesome. Keep it up. I'm not talking to you. You're great. Keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Fucking love that for you. But for anyone who's like me in my situation and they're like, I don't really connect with my family. Like it feels like a huge strain because I don't they wouldn't be my friends in real life. Mm-hmm. So why am I doing this? Just because they're my family? Because we have some sort of connection through some mystical family tree, so to speak? Like I'm required to go and hang out with them and be nice to them?
Right.
That seems so weird to me that's like what we force upon ourselves. And I would like to think, with Natalie, I look forward to the day where she becomes my peer and I become her peer. We're going to be friends. Like, I can't wait for that day to happen. We're going to be like, I cannot wait for us just to be on the same page, the same level with that sort of shit. And I hope to God that we stay close and that, we don't drift apart. That's my goal, hopefully,
Now, this may be a hard exercise. This may be a difficult exercise to go through, but
let's do it.
Let's see if we can do this. Let's say, worst case scenario, something happens and a wedge gets driven in there and there's a rift between you two. Something happens. It doesn't matter what it is. And then she starts to separate out from coming back and seeing you on a regular basis. Do you feel like you will be able to be okay with that? Or do you feel like you will have an expectation that she should come and check in with you guys?
I think based on Jill and I's lived experiences, depending on the wedge that gets driven there, right?
Sure. There's a lot of variables to this hypothetical.
Because if it's just like she's just going off and living her life, I'm never going to be mad at her for doing that.
Sure.
I'll never be mad if she's just like, I want to stay because she's so far away. Or even if she's close by, she's like, I want to kind of do this for the holidays. Whatever. Like, I'm not going to be mad at her for that. Like
you'll miss her, but you won't be upset.
Of course, I want her to go live her life. I don't ever want her to feel like she has to do something because of whatever. I want her to be here. Right. I want her to want to be here is what I mean by that. Like, I want it to be her choice and feel like she wants to come hang out or whatever. I love the fact that we're kind of creating these traditions right now, like Christmas cookies. I did it 2 years ago with her. She fucking loves it. And now, like mid-June, she's like, Dad, I can't wait to make Christmas cookies with you. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And she's like, we got to get new cookie cutters because we got to get some different ones. I'm like, all right, awesome. Let's try to find some new cookie cutters. Like things like that. I'm hoping those things evolve into something that over time, like she just loves it. It becomes part of her like core memories and she wants to go in that. We make it hopefully special enough for her that she enjoys that and she wants to come back. But I'll never hold it against her if she's just like,
should there come a day where she's like, Dad, I don't want to make cookies anymore. Then that like, tradition
I'm still going to make them.
Right. You'll still make them. But like in your mind, like that tradition can close. Should that day ever come.
Yeah. But you know what? If she ends up having kids, they want to come and do that with me, I would love to do that with her kids and be like, come make Christmas cookies with Grandpa. You know what I mean? Like,
and you can whisper, you can poison them while they're doing that. You say, your mommy used to want to do this with me, and then she grew up and became an unbearable person. So when you go home, make her life hell. Here's some sugar.
What I look forward to is Natalie knows how full of shit I am most of the time, like when I'm messing with her. And I can't wait to do that to her kids. Where they're going to be like, Grandpa said this. She's like, don't you start with them. And I'll be like, what do you want from me? This is who I am.
Grandpa said that a boat is a depreciating asset. God damn it, Dad.
He's not wrong, but God damn it.
How pissed are you going to be if she grows up and the person she marries has a boat?
I'll be like, listen.
Are you going to be furious?
I wouldn't be furious. But if they're like, this is my bread and butter right here, this is what I put all my money into, I'd be like, all right, man, that's your choice, but I question your choices, sir.
Let me sit down and show this PowerPoint I made back in 2018.
Yeah, this is why, this is my retirement. What do you mean this is your retirement? You're going to live in there? It's like, no, I'm going to sell it for a profit. I'm like, I don't think this guy knows how this works.
Doug's like, I got a few episodes of my old podcast you need to listen to.
I don't know if you've heard this. Let's come over here while I make some pulled pork. I want to talk to you. Like I'll make some focaccia and we can talk.
Are you making him listen to?
We're having the focaccia talk. Everyone she dates has to come over while I make focaccia and we have a discussion. That's how I get to know them.
We're having the boat talk over focaccia.
I'm making focaccia. All right, we're gonna talk. We're gonna get to know them. I guess to kind of wrap up this point, I don't like traditions for the sake of traditions. I've made that clear before. And I also don't like, I said this to you and I'll say it again. I don't like the dynamic of an older generation pushing their rules and ways upon younger generations. There's always going to be a generational divide. I feel like it's wider than ever right now. And I've never been more excited for a particular generation to die. And because I'm sick of that shit in my personal life, of the things that I've seen from these people who don't know how to fucking communicate, who don't know how to talk about their emotions, who don't have fucking hobbies. And when they don't have a job, they just wander around aimlessly, not knowing what to do. And I'm just inflicting whatever goddamn psychological terror on whoever is around them. I'm over it. We're all going to fuck up the generations below us. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of life. But I'm so goddamn tired of my parents' generation, in particular my parents, and the way they go about things. And I look at their behaviors, and I look at that sort of stuff, and I'm just like, y'all, man, just there's the exit. Head on out. Hit the dusty trail. Hit it, and say goodbye. And don't let the door hit you on the way out because I'm over it. I'm over this idea of these expectations and these rules that they're inflicting on me and everything like that, to the point where it's just you see why people in the 60s rebelled so hard.
Oh, yeah. Look, it like you said, it happens with every generation.
Yeah.
Like the people you're referring to did the same thing in the 60s. They rebelled. It was the flower power, summer of love. All that was because the generation above them was a bunch of stuffy tight asses, from the 40s.
Dude, those were the people who's like, hey, I'm going to hang out at home today, was wearing like dress slacks.
Yeah.
And a collared shirt, a button-down shirt, and loafers.
Yeah, exactly. These are my Saturday slacks.
Right.
And I've got my top button undone, which means I'm ready to mow the lawn.
Right. People that would be like, oh, I've got my suit, my vest, and my long sleeve shirt on, and my hat. As I go out.
I've got my wool outfit on. I'm going to go out and mow the lawn in my penny loafers.
Right. Like the amount of the restrictions and stuff that came along with that, you get why that sort of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I look at those things and I go, Jill and I just constantly say, we have to keep each other in check so that we don't become that. We don't want to become that. We don't want to become the person that is that stiff, that is that unable to see past our own lived experiences, because that is, for me, is at the root of everything, which is a lot of folks are like, they haven't experienced that, therefore it can't be true. And that is a tough concept to overcome.
Oh, it's very true.
That's why I don't believe in ghosts.
Your reality.
All right. That's why I don't believe in ghosts. Okay.
Do you believe in squirrels?
I haven't had a ghost encounter. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't, I'm like, no. Right.
But do you believe in squirrels?
Squirrels haunt me every day when I walk my dog, because my dog wants to murder all of them, and she tries to chase and kill every single one of them. So yes, I believe in them. They're there. They're watching, they're waiting, and they run out into the street right as I'm starting to cross their path. And it makes me wonder, do they just want to die? They're just like, now I'm going to go across. Right as Doug's coming across the road, I'm going to run across now.
Should we be worried about mental health of squirrels?
Absolutely.
I feel like it's an issue that we're not talking about.
And you know what? Let's normalize it. Let's,
all right.
Welcome to BetterHelp for squirrels.
This episode of Mind Gap brought to you by BetterHelp for Squirrels.
Yes. Sign up now for your squirrels.
Right.
But I think
use the code nutty during checkout for 10%.
Use the code GHOST at checkout for. I think it is difficult to be like, I haven't experienced that, so therefore it's hard for me to believe that this is true, which is why I think so many people are like, I don't get transgender people. I just like this. Or I don't understand how someone could like another guy.
Right.
I like girls.
It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing with the Black Lives Matter. So I haven't experienced oppression. I haven't experienced X, Y, or Z. So this can't be as bad as everyone's making it out.
The cops have never been mean to me.
Exactly. I was literally just talking to Sam today. He called you yesterday because he was on his way home. He was on another trip today, and he's like, I called Doug yesterday. I thought I'd finish the Mind Gap the Mind Gap Fecta, and I'd give you a call. And I was like, cool. So we ended up talking again, say like an hour and a half. And it was fantastic to catch up with him. But one of the pieces of conversation landed on our lack of experience feeling threatened like a woman does throughout the day. Like just walking down the street and feeling, we were talking about the Barbie movie, and there's a line in that where once they get into the real world, Barbie's like, I feel like everyone's staring at me, but it's not like a good stare. It's like there's this undertone of violence to it, and Ken's like, I don't feel that at all. I feel like people think I'm pretty great. And it's such a oversimplified, jokey sentiment of something that is born from reality. And when I first saw that in that film, I had the same thought. I was just like, man, is that, but luckily, because you and I try to keep each other in check on this, I had the thought of, I've never experienced that, but wow, talk about something that I have been blind to. Like I've heard people speak of it, but for some reason, when I heard it put that plainly, I'm like, man, this really must be a thing that just you inherently feel that I don't have to deal with. And it's shocking to me that there's an entire, there's an entire range of the emotional spectrum that I've never had to deal with.
I'm going to tell a story that hopefully doesn't diminish a woman's experience.
Okay.
But I got to peek into this for just a couple hours my freshman year, Halloween. several guys on my floor were supposed to dress up like a cheerleader troupe, and we are going to get like these 1980s cheerleaders outfits. Only one of them came, and I was like, I'm totally going to wear it because it was hilarious because I was huge. This thing was for like a 7th grader, so it was like a midriff. The skirt barely covered my ass, and I wore a wig, and I went to a party and everything like that. Dude, I can't tell you how many guys grabbed my ass, put their hand on my leg, would like shout stuff at me. Like even knowing that I was like, I got to the point where I got so uncomfortable that I left a party. I took off my wig. So I'm like, everyone knows that I'm a guy. Guys were still like shouting at me from their porches.
Shit.
And I was like, I don't like this at all. And I was like, I'm going home. That is, again, I can't stress this enough. This is not to say, I know how it feels to be a woman. But
not at all.
A little bit of objectification, even in a joking manner. I didn't want that. I wasn't asking for it, yet I still got it, and it felt incredibly gross to me.
But if that experience can help you have even a sliver of more empathy towards what they have, like that, then that, I mean, that's a win. Like, I think it's a story worth telling because, like, again, you're not saying that I understand the plight of the woman, but like you are saying that I have just a shred more empathy because I got a peek, just a peek into what you experience 24/7, 365. And it's, but again, if you don't experience that back to the original point, I just think it was ironic you brought this up because Sam and I were talking about a similar thing today is that if you don't experience it, and a lot of the older generation have not experienced, they haven't
not being able to buy a house.
Bingo, right? They haven't experienced it, or they don't have, they lack some sort of direct ability to tap into the empathy to even try to understand it. Like, I don't know what that is, but they're just like, if I haven't experienced it, it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of that happens in that older generation. I think that's a lot of where we're having issues especially in Washington right now, is that there's just a lot of people who need to get the fuck out so we can get some fresh ideas in, because these people are like, I don't understand. There's nothing wrong. You know, the only thing that's wrong is it's not how it used to be. And they can't fucking see.
That's the funniest fucking thing. The only thing that's wrong is it's not how it used to be. It's like, what can I tell you, man? Times change. What can I tell you?
Times change, yeah.
It happens. Happens to the best of us. You know, Jesus Christ. Speaking of Jesus Christ, guys, do what you want for Christmas. You know what I mean? It's not even his real birthday. Do what you want, you know?
And you know what? Just because I now have this back.
Stuff is stupid. Stuff is dumb. Doug hates stuff.
I'm gonna come.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Woo. If you've never been here before for Ask Practical Doug, Practical Doug is a tiny Doug that lives inside of Large Doug and helps guide Large Doug through all of life's questions, its mysteries, its quandaries, its problems. Guides him safe to the other side. If you want to ask Practical Doug a question, you can. Social media, @MindGap Podcast, #AskPracticalDoug, or you can jump onto our Discord server, link in the description below, and there's a specific channel set up for Ask Practical Dougs, and you can put it on there. If you do a good enough one, we might even read it on the podcast, and you can get a live Ask Practical Doug. Today, however, we are going to go back to our favorite well of wells, the subreddit Am I the Asshole? And so real quick, Doug, the screenshots that we grabbed for these, they have changed. They used to be in like dark mode. They're now brighter. And also I'm seeing there's a ruling tag on here now.
Ignore it. It doesn't matter.
Is that new?
No.
Okay.
Just a lot of the ones that I picked hadn't had like an official ruling on them. So
got it.
We decide the ruling, not these a-holes.
Right. Yeah. Everyone who decides the ruling already, they are the asshole. So this is posted by beginning leg 511. All right. Some of these
we've
usernames,
all been there when we've been starting at the leg. You know what I mean? The beginning legs.
That's it. Yeah. There are certain usernames where I would love to talk to the person and just go, give me the story. briefly, but give me the story because I'm curious. But beginning leg 511 asks, am I the asshole for refusing to return my daughter's Christmas gift? Interesting. So my daughter, Kayla, 17, has been asking for a laptop for a while. Money's been tight, so my wife and I saved up to get it for her for Christmas. I couldn't wait to give it to her. Edit. My wife is Kayla's biological mother since people keep assuming she's her stepmom. Okay. The other day, I come home from work and I feel like that has nothing to do with the post. That's just in real life. He's just like, hey, by the way, okay, apropos of nothing. The other day, I come home from work and find Kayla upset. My wife, her mom, not her stepmom, in a mood, and our son, who's adopted, Martin, 15, looking pleased. I asked my wife in private what was going on. She started venting to me that Kayla is an ungrateful brat and we should return her gift, etc. She then explained that she and our son decided to pull a small prank on our daughter. Martin told Kayla that my wife had told him that instead of the laptop, she, Kayla, was getting the amount it cost in gift cards to various stores for clothing, food, etc., not places which you could buy a laptop, because she felt she wasn't ready for one. Kayla got very upset and asked my wife if this was true. My wife said yes and added, maybe next year. Kayla got upset and said this was not fair. She had only asked for one thing. Clearly, money wasn't an issue. My wife admits she started laughing, which made Kayla even more upset, and she told my wife she was a jerk. My wife feels how Kayla reacted to the prank, quote, showed her true colors, and, quote, what if we couldn't afford it? I pointed out that we had told Kayla in the past that we couldn't afford it, and she took it well. It seems that the issue was knowing we had the money and could have bought it, but allegedly didn't. I asked her what she expected to come from this little prank and called her childish for roping Martin into it. I said I'm not returning the laptop. My wife is mad at me and says Kayla needs to be punished. I also made my wife tell Kayla it was all a prank. Kayla apologized for calling my wife a jerk, but said the prank was super hurtful. My wife refused to apologize and doubled down that she does not feel Kayla deserves it. Martin did apologize for his role. At the end of this epic tale, Doug, is beginning leg 511 the asshole?
I'm biased on this because this reeks of a Chris Cochran quote unquote prank. Because this is really what this is at the core of this is this guy's wife is mad because her prank didn't land. It was a joke that didn't land. It wasn't funny.
Exactly.
It went sideways and they're mad about that. And when people feel stupid, they lash out.
Absolutely.
And because that's not a funny prank to me.
No. It not even arguably not a funny prank. It is just straight up not a funny prank.
You know, like it's teasing and whatever. And what I love is how he asked her. He was like, "So what did you hope to accomplish with this? Like with this prank? What were you looking for?" It's just like, "Oh, ha, you're not gonna get it. Just kidding." Because we don't think you're ready for it. Why is that funny?
Right.
Like, I guess you have to understand the relationship because I will say wild shit to Natalie, but she knows I'm joking. Like I go, Natalie, you see all those presents under the tree? I go, you know what? It's all poop, different types of poop. You see that big one over there? I go, that's all the poop we collected from Loki since June. You see, remember that big old thing, that garbage thing I put in? I saved it all up and we all wrapped it in a box. And she's like, nah. I'm like, oh no, it's all poop. She knows I'm kidding, you know, like that's obviously an insane joke. If I were to say that to Natalie, like basically, she's like, if I were to tell her, I'm going to get you this thing, just kidding, I'm not going to get it. And she could tell by the way I was like, by the way, Natalie most of the time goes, are you joking? Like she knows how to like.
She already knows where you're at, where you're coming from.
For that sort of stuff. It depends on the relationship. But what I'm gathering from this is that this mom did a bad joke. It didn't land, and she didn't like the response because guess what? It's a shitty joke. Because it's a shitty joke, the person reacted as if it wasn't a joke and, you know, thought that they were being rude to her, saying she wasn't ready to have a laptop. She's fucking 17, by the way.
Well, also...
that's so insulting.
Also, you're telling your son to go tell her that we, like, to ruin what your gifts are, too. Like, let's think about that too. Like, okay, I'm going to go all right, son, you go tell her that you know what she's getting and just ruin it.
Yeah.
Tell her everything she's getting so it's not a surprise.
Yeah,
That's
tell her
funny.
that we're going to take the money that it would cost to get you a laptop, and we're giving you to like Jewel, and we're giving you a gift card to all these other places. It's not a funny. It's like a prank. Like, ha ha, pranked you. I have no doubt that she responded poorly to that. Of course she did.
Well, here's the
that's
other
a
thing,
shitty
though,
prank.
that Kayla could have done. Kayla could have just taken, if that was true, Kayla could have taken the gift cards and sold them online and then just taken that money and bought a fucking laptop.
True. It's very true. I think that was a shitty prank. And I'm sorry to Kayla's mom who didn't like Kayla's reaction because it was a mean prank and an unfunny one. So if you didn't like her reaction to it, that's your fault. It's like, oh, true colors came through. It's like, yeah, because you told her a shitty lie, a shitty prank, and she gave you an honest response, which is, you're a jerk for doing that.
It wasn't even that. The wife started laughing.
Yeah.
And that's what made Kayla upset and goes, you're a jerk. Like, and also, let's take a step back here. You're able to pull this prank on her, but you can't take it. You're so thin-skinned that she calls you a jerk. She didn't say, fuck you, mom. Oh, you're not, fuck you. I wish you were my stepmom. Everyone thinks it anyways in the comment section of Reddit. She just said, you're a jerk. And you know what? You were kind of acting like a jerk. So I like, if you're going to pull up that's the other thing. If you're going to pull a prank, you have to be able to take what comes from that.
Yes.
You've got to have thick enough skin. If it's a bad reaction, that's the risk you take with the prank. If it is another prank, if it's a reciprocal prank or a revenge prank, that you've opened the door. Then you started. It's an act of war, and someone's responding.
That's why I don't like prank content, because a lot of it, like it's a fine line for me for a what's the word I'm thinking of? A wholesome prank.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like I've seen some prank videos where kids coordinate like with their parent, usually with a mom, where the mom will say, hey, go clean your room. They're like, fuck you, mom. And you see the dad like tense up and be like, what the fuck did they say? And they're about to go kill their kid. Yeah. And the kids go, it's a prank. It's a prank. It's a prank. Like that to me is wholesome, because that shows how much like the dad like has their mom's back. Because boy, you want to prank me. Have Natalie back top Jill, and I will fucking throw down. I do not stand for that. I'm like, yo, no. Like that is done with the idea of like, hey, we're totally joking. It's cool. It's like de-escalating the situation. All right. But this is just a bad prank made that went wrong. And I can kind of understand a little bit of what the mom's saying is like, the idea of the kids saying, I know you have the money, so buy me this gift. I could see how that could be interpreted as being like greedy and being obnoxious. But if that's the one thing they've been looking forward to, right, and there's an expectation that it's going to happen, I can understand the idea of like, well, let's mess with her a little bit because she thinks she's going to get it and let's try to whatever. But when you do it that way, and then you also say you're not ready for it, maybe next year, what do you think is going to happen with the 17-year-old? I think they're going to be like, shucks, you're right, mom. You're right. I'm not ready for it. Give me a fucking break. Right. So, long story short, beginning leg, I actually commend them for being like, no, I'm fucking giving her the laptop. Like, this is bullshit. Like, this was a shitty prank that you don't like how it went. You don't like the response that you got because it sucked. It's like telling a bad joke and the crowd booing at you. It's like, you suck. Sorry. Try again next time. And the fact that they won't apologize on top of it, which is just like, to me, shows the character of that parent. The fact that they're not willing to apologize for fucking up just says a lot to me. So no, I don't think they're the asshole.
It is decided not the asshole.
Yeah.
What I will say is that the dad, what he needs to do now is he needs to take. I'm assuming that some of the gifts are under the tree at this point. What needs to happen is he needs to take a gift that mom is very well aware is there for her, swap it out with the same size box, but fill it with tissue paper and a gift card to Chili's.
Or fill it with a fake divorce notice and be like, hey, gotcha. That's comedy. Justin, what do you got to recommend this week?
So talk about a wholesome movie, Doug. Beth and I, we went to see the Grand Rapids Film Society was hosting It's a Wonderful Life on, they were showing it in 16 millimeter at an old movie theater here called the Wealthy Street Theater. And it was really fun. It was a sold out show. Whole community turned up for it. Really, really cool to see it. You know, it was poor quality, poor audio quality, but like it was something just fun seeing it on film, you know, in a theater, it was kind of cool. So as I was watching it, I was realizing how much I really enjoyed that movie and how much you're going to have to take this with a grain of salt. I think this is one of the best Christmas movies that has been made. It is I feel like it embodies the story, how it wraps itself up, embodies kind of what the essence of Christmas is people coming together, having a rich life full of friends and family. I think if you have not seen it, I would recommend this week. Check out It's a Wonderful Life. If you are getting together with family, and maybe you guys have a tradition where you pop a movie on. If you've never seen this, throw this on. It's a fun watch. It is longer for an older movie. It's 130 minutes, so it's 2 hours, 10 minutes. But it's a fun movie, so I would say throw it on. And it's shockingly funny. Jimmy Stewart, his comedic timing, I was floored. And I've seen this before. I just forgot how good his delivery is. Really, really fucking good comedic delivery.
I just want to say, I think it's a bold claim to say it's one of the best Christmas movies when you've got Die Hard on that list. So
that's why I said one of. Why I said one of.
Yeah, let's put those two in a heads-to-head, and you tell me which
Drew
one's better.
Said, well, that's the thing. Drew also threw Gremlins in the mix.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So that's a throwdown for a different time.
Woo, that's a three-way I can get on board with, you know what I'm saying? Toot, toot, beep, beep. The train's coming into the station.
I have plantar fasciitis.
Doug, what do you got to recommend?
This is going to be shocking, but hey,
here's the thing.
Talk about it.
I'm just going to, as soon as you say this, I'm disconnecting the call and I'm done with the podcast.
That's fair. That's fine.
It's been a great 425 episodes.
It's been great. And Justin and I did a whole episode on like, why are they making this thing? Blah, blah, blah. Natalie and I were hanging out, just the two of us, the other night, and she wanted to watch a movie after I tried to get her to watch Dune. And she liked the first Avatar by James Cameron movie, which I still argue is a dog shit movie. It's not very good.
Right. She's 7.
Talking about like hammer meet nail as far as like how subtle it is about things. And she's like, oh, Avatar, The Way of Water. As I was looking for something else, and I was like, fuck it. Let's watch it. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah. And I found it oddly compelling. I found it oddly interesting. I gotta say, kudos to the computer graphics people, because there's barely any real people in that movie, man. As far as like actual on-screen real people, not many. There are not any main characters, I'll tell you that much. They barely show up, so it's almost all CG. You might as well just call it like an animated film, because it's basically what it is.
Sure, yeah.
And it's fucking beautiful. You're talking about like your 5 stars and how you rate each star. Dude, full marks for just like cinematography and the fact that you're looking at, like, I was telling this to Natalie, I'm like, so much of it takes place in the water. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all these things are fake. This is an alien planet. None of this is real. Yeah. And this looks fantastic. It looks incredible. It looks absolutely excellent. Better than the first one. Still pretty heavy-handed on the old, like, we're the bad guys.
Yeah.
But also some interesting themes. There's definitely some times where I was like, we're doing this again, huh? We just did this 5 minutes ago, and we're doing it again. I'm kind of getting tired of this. But I was able to overlook it. And I was able to be like, I'm still having fun. I'm still enjoying this. I'm still engaged. And it's a long movie. At one point I paused to let the dog out. I'm like, there's 1 hour and 17 minutes left. I go, we're not going to be able to finish this. We're not going to be able to finish this. And then we came back in and we watched, and I was like, Natalie, we're going to finish this. And we stayed up really late to finish it. And we had a really good time. Maybe it partly is because I was having fun with Natalie. I don't know. I I would say this one is like
3 hours and 12 minutes. God damn
I didn't realize it was 3 hours and 12 minutes. It definitely felt like 3 hours and 12 minutes.
That
it definitely
pisses
felt
me
like
off
3
so
hours
much.
and 12 minutes. But oddly enough, while it did drag a little bit, the pacing, it helped because the relationships that they kind of built, it kind of made sense to some degree, where I kind of cared about the characters and what was going through. But that being said, this is one of those things where I feel like I'm Haig convincing you to watch Rampage in the sense of like, hey man, go in with an open mind, just sit back and realize it's just there for fun, man.
You realize the reason that I have not watched the first one is because of you.
I stand by that.
I've jumped on board and I've taken so much shit from me. Like, well, you don't even know if you don't like it. I go, I trust Doug enough to know that movie is a piece of dog shit, Hank.
I mean, as someone who makes films and writes, Justin, you would be insulted by what the story is.
I have no doubt.
Again, cinematically, pretty good looking film, man. Like hard to compete with a Cameron film when it comes to that sort of shit. Story wise,
and especially
it's
for the
fucking
time.
Insulting that it was up for an Oscar for writing. That's insulting. That's the same year The Dark Knight was out. That's fucking bullshit.
Well, the other thing that really, really fucking irks me, if we go all time Box Office Mojo, all time top lifetime gross.
I'll never understand why that movie made as much money as it did, other than the fact that 3D was big at the time, and the movie was specifically made for 3D, and they were able to upcharge on that.
Oh, in the first, you said the first one?
First one. Mm-hmm.
I hate the fact that in the first 5 movies, James Cameron has 3 of the 5, and that first one was only because it got re-released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That Avengers had it, and then he was like, "Oh, guess what? We're doing it again. You're welcome." Yeah.
I'll say this much for him: the guy knows how to create a movie that people want to fucking see. Like it's.
Look, I'm not. It sounds like I am. I'm doing it for comedic effect. I'm not shitting on James Cameron.
Yeah.
He's a great filmmaker, and he has made some fantastic movies. I just, I get so angry at just the concept of Avatar. And the fact that it beat out Endgame because it got re-released. So much of this should come with an asterisk. But whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll say, if you didn't like the first Avatar, this one's better. I think it's better. Watch it and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know it. So I had fun watching it with Natalie. And
are you going to watch Avatar 3 when it comes out in 2025?
I'll watch it on streaming.
Okay.
I'm curious. They ended it in an interesting spot where I'm like, okay, all right, I'm curious. There's a lot of things in that movie where you're like, we're just going to accept that this is happening. And once you accept that, you let it go. We're like, cool.
Okay.
Because there's something I'm like, wait, what? When did that happen? Whatever, fuck it, we're going. Like,
I don't have time to Google this. Let's just move on. Yeah.
It's like, that was such a throwaway thing and it's a big part of this movie. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay.
They pulled that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Are you going to watch Avatar 4 when it comes out?
I'll have to see Avatar 3 first and let you know.
Okay. Doug, let me ask you this.
Am I going to watch Avatar 5?
Are you going to watch Avatar 5 when it comes out?
Depends on Avatar 3.
Okay. Doug,
okay, baby.
let me ask you this.
Riddle me this, butthole.
Actually, I don't know. I know is there a 6? Yeah. Let's see. However, he also noted that he'd be 89 years old by the time an Avatar 6 and 7 could be released. And he is, quote,
perfect.
Not going
he could
to
be president. Awesome.
He's not. I love it. Fuck it. Yeah, I'm done talking about Avatar. All right.
Gang, thanks for hanging out with us this week. And like I said earlier, please, if you like what you saw here and you want to support us, hit the like button if you're watching us on YouTube, youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Hit the subscribe button. Share this shit. If you're listening to it, rate, review, send it out. Get us the Dick Pill sponsorship. Help us be your Dick Pill sponsorship people. All right? Be our heroes, baby! And mean the world to us. And check the link in the description for links to our Discord, be part of the family, links to our merch, redbubble.com/mindgappodcast. Pick yourself up something nice for Christmas. If you have to buy someone a gift, fucking help us out. And Patreon. Patreon.com/mindgappodcast. Throw some buckaroos our way. And all of our social medias at mindgappodcast. Justin's alive and well in the digital realm also.
That's true. On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. While you're in the online realm, check us out on any platform where you can find and consume quality podcasts. We're there. Like Doug said, share, rate, review, subscribe, do all those things. The big one is sharing because it's caring. 2east8th.com, 2east8th on all social media, and then loveandimprovfilm.com and loveandimprovfilm on Twitter. Instagram. Sorry, not Twitter. Fuck Twitter.
Fuck Twitter. Fuck it in the butt twice. With that, I want to say to Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you. And I would also like to throw out there, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, any other thing you celebrate. Enjoy yourselves.
You beat me to it. Happy holidays, you motherfuckers. Have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.